Hi, I'm Rusty Wallace.
And I'm Johnny Bench.
And we're no strangers to big-time pain.
Which is why we trust Blue Emu's pain relief products.
I use it every day to keep me on the move because winning never gets old.
Blue Emu pain relief products, non-greasy, deep penetrating formula gets down deep into your muscles and joints to do its magic.
And speaking of magic,
Blue Emu, maximum pain relief, the official pain relief cream of NASCAR.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Tyler Martin Milich, Film Commissioner for Hillsborough County. Thank you for joining us for the fourth Friday in a row we've been doing these live streams. Today, we're lucky enough to have a few sponsors. This first segment comes to us by Blue Emu. You'll see one of their ads roll either before this or a little later on in the program today. But our first guest, as we have been doing in the past, we have voices from around the Bay Area, Florida at large, and also some international callers. But joining us right now is Hernan Tagliani, joining us from Orlando. From the group advertising. Morning, Hernan. How are you?
Hey, how are you guys doing? Thank you for having me.
I'm doing pretty good. So you were on the program not too long ago. How has things progressed since the last time we talked?
Things has been progressing. You know, we are lucky enough to have some clients that they are in demand of work that needs to be done through COVID-19. So we have been, busy so far, keeping us busy. We can't complain.
Yeah, that's great. Since last time we talked, we had seen a considerable drop-off in a lot of work, not only through our office, but a lot of other companies here in town for obvious reasons. But it seems like in the last week, maybe 10 days even, we've seen a pickup in people trying to get more re-engaged with their clients, their audiences. I think they've resigned themselves to the idea that this is going to be continuing for at least a little while longer and they need to get back out there. Have you seen the same thing or experienced the same thing over in Orlando?
Yeah, absolutely. Now more than ever, as we know, COVID is changing our lives. It's changing different industries, the way they will operate moving forward. So some companies are being very proactive in taking this time to find business opportunities, to reanalyze their overall strategy, and when they're ready to come back, hopefully in the next few weeks. So they have, they are prepared and they have a strong plan forward. So it's going to be a lot of moving parts and people. Some industries are going to be affected more than others. But this is a perfect time for any corporation to start analyzing everything from resources to vendors to strategies. So when they come back strong with a strong plan.
Yeah. I think we've all been slowly figuring out how to use things like Google Hangouts and Zoom and different Skype-type meetings. Let's assume that a company or a client perhaps doesn't have access to a full production team like they would have to try to get content out. And all they have is either their computer or their cell phone and access to one of those programs I mentioned, like a Zoom or a Google Hangout. Do you still think there's value in checking in daily or weekly, or at least a structured strategy to stay in touch with their clients through means like that?
Absolutely, it's a must-have. Nowadays with the technology, it's becoming more and more relevant, and that's one of the things that I foresee moving forward. Most likely will change. We're, adjusting to this new norm through Google Hangout, through LinkedIn, through Zoom and some other apps. And it definitely will be a wake-up call for some corporations that even though people working from home, they can fulfill the company's need and meet deadlines. And while at the same time, they are managing better their time and spending time with the family, working from home, practicing their favorite sport or hobby. and make things happen. So I see this change moving forward for sure.
Yeah. Now, last time we talked, you had mentioned one of the strategies you were recommending to clients you're working with is to strike a more empathetic tone in their marketing. And I think we've seen that across the board with other companies around the world doing something similar to that, where it's really more about just saying, hey, are you okay? We're here for you if you need us. And I think you see now the effect of just being honest upfront instead of, unvarnished. It's just sort of the CEO sitting in front of a camera talking to someone. Do you think that authenticity that is sort of coming about as a result of this is going to continue on in most marketing strategies going forward? Or are we going to see a quick zip back to the highly polished, very expensive advertising that might have happened in the past?
Well, what I always tell clients, the worst thing that you can do right now is nothing. Just waiting and see what is going to happen. So I always tell them, first of all, don't panic. That's the worst thing that you can do, is just sitting and waiting what is going on, or just waiting to see what is your competitor doing, and then you determine if you're going to do something or nothing. You have to act. Unfortunately, we live in a very reactive society. That's the American way, that people tend not to do anything, act until something bad happens. The best thing that you can do is, number one, is being proactive. So don't panic. Easier said than done, especially when we have a recession hitting the door. But unfortunately, you're going to go as a business owner. I'm talking me as a business owner. You're going to have to make some difficult decision. It's not a simple task. And the only thing you can control are your thoughts as a human being. So I always tell small business owners or corporations, take advantage at the present time of the different stimulus packages and tax incentives that the government is giving you. So I have friends in the industry and to clients that they already apply for those loans and those incentives, and they already start getting that, they call the PPC, I believe, or PPE money for payroll. So keeping the doors open.
Yeah.
Number two, I want you to get creative. This is a unique scenario, an opportunity to review strategies, with plans of growth moving forward, to learn more about the community and develop and execute culture relevant strategy that will resonate to the different audiences moving forward. And you have to be proactive, as I said before. Identify new target consumer segments that you haven't tapped in the past, and through this comeback, it will help you to outbalance the loss of profits from the general market. And that's when it comes to consideration the minority groups, in particular Hispanic market. This is a huge business opportunity for any brands or corporation moving forward that is sitting right up. And now more than ever, and especially when the new census report comes back towards the end of this year, beginning of next year, I think it's going to be a wake-up call for a lot of corporations that they have been underestimated the power of the U.S. Hispanic consumers, as the growth is domestic here, born in the U.S., second, third generation bilingual by culture, and it's driving the U.S. economy, and it's driving the growth of this nation's population. So again, you have to be proactive, you have to be empathetic, you have to be supported, and now more than ever, you have to stay relevant to the consumers. That means reassuring them how your company and brand is responding to this pandemic. Show support to your customers. I'm here for you in the bad times, and when the good times comes, they will definitely remember you. So that's what I'm saying. You have to be relevant. You have to stay connected to them, and you have to be empathetic. And it's a great opportunity to personalize your brand. There are different companies right now. They're doing a great job at the present time with COVID-19. One of them is the car company, Bentley. They already donated, for example, over 20,000 of cover seats and steering wheels covers for all people working on the health industry, doctors, nurses, and so forth. So it's not about the car. It's about being there for those consumers. And also Bentley has changed a little bit the way they have been communicating their overall advertising campaign. It's not about the car, it's about the places where the car takes you. Bring you that peace of mind of different places around the world. That it's definitely a great opportunity right now to be in that position. Not the sales pitch, but it's more the supported aspect of it.
Yeah.
So.
No, all really good recommendations and advice, particularly trying to engage with more Latin American clients and consumers. I know just in the Tampa Bay area, and I think it's basically true in anywhere in Florida, there is a great Spanish language community that helps support the production community here. I know that we have a lot of Latin American commercials that shoot in the Bay Area, and I'm always trying to get production companies to reach out internationally to bring more clients here to the Bay. And with that, unfortunately, we've got to start closing out here. One last question before we go, though. Since we are coming up on Easter, and we want to make sure we spend some time with our family this morning, whether we want to or not, if we're trapped in our homes. What Easter plans do you have, and what is your favorite Easter meal side or particular food?
Well, in this case, my plan is, of course, staying at home with my wife and my 2 dogs, and we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to cook some ribeye steak on the grill with some good Argentinian wine, and just enjoying the company, and then most likely go on a bike ride or walk around the neighborhood, and of course keeping the 6 feet distance one from each other. But that's my.
All right, that sounds fantastic. Hernan, thank you so much for joining us. Is there any last tip or piece of advice you'd like to give, either to your clients or just people in the Bay Area that might be watching?
No, definitely. Be proactive, as I said before. Don't just sit and wait on something to happen. A good leader, you have to have a good defense for a good offense. So nobody's doing anything right now. This is a perfect opportunity to connect with your customers in a more relevant way, in a more personalized way, and show them that you are there in the bad times. So when the good times comes, then you already conquered the heart and their brand loyalty. So for those that they decide to, and I understand there are certain industries right now that doesn't make sense to advertise, but like Coke, for example. But those that they are in the service industry or consumer products, definitely is a great opportunity to take advantage of this captive audience that is at home. They're watching TV, they're listening to radio, they're on their mobile devices. You have to have your message out there, and be ready for the comeback. It's going to be strong for many industries. That's what I foresee. We see what is going on in China. I foresee this here in the United States for sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Hernan, for joining us. Where can people learn more about you and your company? Where can they go to find more out?
Yeah, definitely. People, they can reach out to me and my group, the Group Advertising. Our website is thegroupads.com, and we're more than happy to help you and come up with the right marketing strategy or plan for your comeback that I guarantee you is going to be strong.
Fabulous. So we'll try to have that link to your website on the website of ours once we finish up here today. And with that, we're going to close out the segment. Once again, this particular segment was brought to you by Blue Emu, which is an arthritis cream. You'll see one of their commercials either before or after this segment coming up. We hope you stay tuned for the next hour and a half. We have some really great guests coming up. Joining us here in a few minutes is going to be journalist Paul Guzzo. But later in the program, we're going to have a psychologist, a weight loss doctor. We have an amazing corporate executive chef coming. Just a great variety of people joining us today. So with that, thanks again, Hernan. And for those tuning in, stay with us. We'll be back after the break. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Rusty Wallace.
And I'm Johnny Bench.
And we're no strangers to big time pain.
Which is why we trust Blue Emu's pain relief products.
I use it every day to keep me on the move because winning never gets old.
Blue Emu pain relief products, non-greasy, deep penetrating formula gets down deep into your muscles and joints to do its magic.
And speaking of magic,
Blue Emu, maximum pain relief, the official pain relief cream of NASCAR.
We are stronger together, in the warm air and Gulf breezes, by the sparkling water as the sun slowly sets, where pirates shout ahoy and treasure awaits, where gentle manatees swim past timeless minarets, with adventures to discover in historic districts, with diversity and charm, in our community by the bay, to make memories beyond measure when you return, because we are all stronger together. Where hope always shines, in the hip, urban heart of Florida's Gulf Coast beats, we will be ready for you in Tampa Bay, Florida's most resilient destination.
At Medi Weight Loss, your health and wellness is our top priority. We're now offering virtual tools to help keep you safe and on track with your weight loss goals. Focus on your health and lose weight with our individualized medical plans. Call for a free virtual assessment. Medi Weight Loss.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Tyler Martinovich, Film Commissioner for Hillsborough County. Thanks for joining us again. Right now, we are joined by writer and journalist Paul Guzzo. How's the overnight family man doing?
I'm stressed. I'm exhausted, living in chaos. But besides that, I mean, everybody's healthy, so I can't complain.
That's great. And for those that are joining, you might notice that Paul is in his car. Why are you in your car right now, Paul?
I have 4 kids, a dog and 2 cats, and we're all living in what we call self-isolation. So my house is chaos, it's loud, and we could not get in a word edgewise, in there. Typically, when I'm doing interviews for the newspaper, I'm walking the neighborhood. I take my dog for a walk and I record everything on an app on my phone. But today apparently is lawn day in my neighborhood. So my neighborhood is loud. And I'm apparently the only one in my neighborhood who cuts his own grass. I've learned since being in self-isolation.
I do not envy you any of those things right now, but we do appreciate you joining us. So let's talk a little bit about what you're covering in the news media right now. I know that you've just been moved over to the features desk, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah, I got moved over to features this week. I'd been on the Metro desk for the past few years, which is you're covering a lot of breaking news, but so much of what I was doing was feature-y anyway. So when they were kind of restructuring the newsroom, they decided to move me over to feature. So I'm kind of off breaking news, but I mean, with coronavirus, it kind of all hands on deck for everything. Yeah. There's no really beats anymore, just blurred lines and I'm doing everything. But the weird thing is, though, the features desk looks just like my Metro desk, my white couch in the living room.
So no furniture upgrade for you. Let's talk about just the state of the Tampa Bay area. What kind of human interest stories are you seeing pop up as a result of COVID-19?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, what kind of human interest stories have you seen come up as a result of COVID-19?
Well, I mean, it's touched everything. I mean, you know, one of the first stories I wrote on this was how it shut down the film industry temporarily.
Yeah.
I've written about daycares, how, you know, 2 months ago, we would never consider daycares to be essential. A lot of people, an essential activity, an essential business. A lot of people are wondering why daycares are open, but schools are not. Aren't daycares as germy? Couldn't it spread there? And the answer is yes, but the daycares are taking extra precaution and they have to stay open because the essential workers, the grocery store workers, the health workers, law enforcement, they still need someone to bring their children now that there's no school.
Yeah.
It's much places like the Ronald McDonald House. They shut down the one in Tampa because visitation at Tampa General, you now cannot come and go as you please if you've got a child there. So the Ronald McDonald House gives families a place to stay while their kids are undergoing procedures here in Tampa for like cancer. So since people can't come and go at the hospital, the Ronald McDonald House in Tampa was no longer necessary. So that's temporarily suspended. I mean, it's touching everything. I mean, if you name it, it has impacted it. I mean, including my job. I mean, without events happening, without businesses opening, opening, there are no advertisements. There's nothing to advertise. So we've cut down to 2 days a week print, just Sunday and Wednesday, because there's no one advertised because there's nothing going on.
Yeah. And you had a really great story earlier this week from a St. Pete resident, Mo Solomon, who gave a first-person interview about how he dealt with COVID-19. I mean, he almost died in the hospital, right?
Yeah, apparently. You know, it's weird. I've never even met Mo. I think he was working for an animation company in St. Pete a few years back, and he used to message me with story ideas. Never did anything, but we became Facebook friends. And I don't think he ever popped up on my feed. And then as he was updating from the hospital, his battle with coronavirus, you know, with so many people liking and commenting, was appearing on my feed. And he was giving an in-person account as he went about how he was fighting the virus, what he was going through. It was tragically fascinating to watch, and read, but you know, luckily, well, not luckily, due to the good healthcare, he pulled through.
Yeah, and full disclosure, I've known Mo for 20 years. I was at his weddings, and it was amazing just the community response too as a result of that article. It's very expensive, obviously, to go to a hospital. And after he got out, he posted a GoFundMe and raised almost $10,000 to cover his hospital bills in a matter of hours, which was fantastic.
I noticed that. You can tell the guy's got a lot of friends.
Yes.
I don't know him personally, never met him, but you can tell he has a lot of friends.
Yeah, but I think he's just emblematic of a million other stories like that going on with people battling this virus. What has been the overall attitude and climate of people you've been interviewing lately about COVID-19? Are they supportive of this shutdown? Are they understanding, or is there a palpable frustration?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, I was just asking, you know, what has your experience talking with people in the community been as a result of COVID-19? Are they frustrated about the closures? Are they understanding? What's the temperature of the people you're talking to?
You know, I've not talked to anybody who's doesn't understand it. Everybody I've talked to seems to understand this is necessary. Obviously, everybody is frustrated. Everybody is upset. Everybody wants to get back to normal life. I've not talked to anybody who doesn't agree with what we're going. Now, I've written stories about that. You know, I helped cover the church issue last week.
Yeah.
You know, and there are definitely some local churches who feel that they should be allowed to stay open. The governor agrees with them. But again, for the most part, business owners, everybody is scared, frustrated, but they all understand. I mean, perhaps the best example is the owner of the Blind Tiger. I interviewed him for a story about Ybor City. I ended up not using his interview in the story. But I mean, this is a guy, he was devastated while talking about all the employees he's had to temporarily send home. Yeah. But at the same time, he understands, like, hey, this is what we have to do, because it's better to do this now and get it, you know, than have this dwindle or, you know, linger on for another year and have, you know, tens of thousands more people die than necessary.
Yeah. You know, I find it almost ironic that, you know, there's such a lack of advertising right now for newspapers for obvious reasons. Of course, people are shut down. But I think there was such a, how do I say, just a people were so frustrated with just covering politics daily. This almost feels refreshing as far as the news cycle goes. That's a terrible way to couch that. But it feels like people are more engaged than ever with media sources to see what's going on out there. I mean, journalists have never been more necessary or needed than a time like this.
Yeah, we have been declared essential workers. So all you haters can take that. I think people are realizing how necessary we are now. Our website, even though we're only doing 2 days a week of print, our website has never been busier. I mean, we are, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I know they're well over 1 million views a day, which we used to not hit.
Yeah.
Every story we post on the virus that's covering something essential about it, people are reading. The good news stuff that we're writing about, people are reading. You don't realize how important something is until it impacts your life. People who say, well, why do we need a newspaper? Well, they obviously didn't have children a few years ago who were going in schools that did not have air conditioning. And it wasn't until the Tampa Bay Times covered that something like that got fixed. People do not realize how important a newspaper is in terms of holding everybody accountable and getting them the important facts they need until it impacts their life. And sadly, it is taking this for people to realize it. Hopefully when this passes, and hopefully that'll be soon, people realize that we are needed. Even if we don't do something to impact their life that day, that week, that month, at some point, we are going to cover a story that will make their lives better.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't thank you enough for the work you do in the Tampa Bay area. Let's end this now because we're coming up to a hard break for a commercial. Before we go, though, I want to ask you, you're an accomplished writer and author. One of your books, I introduced you as the Overnight Family Man, was named the Overnight Family Man. What are some quick tips for people that might be struggling at home, having to take care of 1, 2, 4 kids right now that you and Amy have found just over the last couple of weeks?
Parental advice?
Yes.
Lots of scotch at night and lots of caffeine in the morning. I honestly, I couldn't give advice because I have no patience right now. I have not done a good job of making it through this. It's been completely overwhelming. There is no way for not to be overwhelming. I have to wake up at 5 a.m. and start my workday so I can have the bulk of my writing done by the time my kids start virtual school at 9. I'm still working throughout the day, but I can edit and proofread and make calls with chaos, but I can't write when there's screaming going on. You just got to take a deep breath, at the end of the day, and just realize it's tough, but everybody in your house is healthy. And, that sounds cheesy, but I think everybody agrees that's what matters, right? Yeah. I mean, my kids, I want to choke them like I'm Homer Simpson in their Bart, but I mean, at least they're not coughing. They don't have fevers, and I'm not going to have to take them to the hospital because my greatest fear is when this happens, you're absolutely and immediately separated from your family, and I don't want that to happen.
Yeah. Now, good advice. Whether you have kids or not, I think a deep breath and a glass of scotch will do anyone good at this point. Let's end it here, though, Paul. Before we let you go, where can people find more about you, and where can they go to buy your books?
If you just visit tampabay.com, you can find all my articles. If you Google me, you can find my landing page. And just let me put something out there to everyone watching or listening. Please digitally subscribe. You can go online to the Times website and get a digital subscription. You get all of our content. All of our coronavirus content is free. There is no paywall, but it costs money to put that out. So we're all basically working to give everybody a free product throughout this pandemic, but you can support us by subscribing. We also have a fund you can donate to and get a tax write-off that you can find on our website. So please support us because, like we said, you don't realize how much you need the free press until it impacts you.
Yeah. It's a great line to end on. Paul, thanks again so much for joining us this morning. Best to you and your family. Stay healthy through this crisis. Thanks, bud.
I look forward to working on a story on a film set again.
I hope so, too. All right. Thanks, buddy. And for everyone joining us, please stay tuned. We'll be back after a quick commercial break. We'll see you in a second.
We are stronger together. In the warm air and Gulf breezes, by the sparkling water as the sun slowly sets, where pirates shout ahoy and treasure awaits, where gentle manatees swim past timeless minarets, with adventures to discover in historic districts, with diversity and charm, in our community by the bay, to make memories beyond measure when you return, because we are all stronger together. Where hope always shines in the hip, urban heart of Florida's Gulf Coast beats, we will be ready for you in Tampa Bay, Florida's most resilient destination.
At Medi Weight Loss, your health and wellness is our top priority. We're now offering virtual tools to help keep you safe and on track with your weight loss goals. Focus on your health and lose weight with our individualized medical plans. Call for a free virtual assessment. Medi Weight Loss.
Welcome back, everybody. Again, my name is Tyler Martinovich, Film Commissioner for Hillsborough County. I want to take some time to thank our sponsor for this segment, La Segunda Bakery. We'll have the owner and operator on a little later on in this segment, but we appreciate them helping us keep this broadcast going every Friday. And joining us right now is industrial psychologist Albert Murillo. Morning, Albert. How are you?
Morning. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. So the first question I've been asking everyone is just, how are you personally doing through this crisis?
I'm doing very well. It's really, to be honest with you, as you mentioned, my background is in industrial organizational psychology, which is a study of human behavior in the work environment. I know we're going to discuss some things today, but to be clear that I'm not a clinical psychologist, clinician. I have looked into things in the past, but I don't have that specific background, but I definitely have knowledge in it. Some of the things that I've been doing, it's really about a mindset. It's really about how you take the circumstances and how you apply that mindset. The way I've been handling it is that these circumstances are happening whether I like it or whether I don't like it. And it's up to me. I have 100% control and power over my ability of how I interpret this. I can interpret it as something positive, or I can work on different things to start growing and look at things from a positive light, or I could look at it as negative, kicking rocks, being upset, can't do this, can't do that. Either way, we're still going to go through it. It's really just about how your mindset and how you do it. So I try to look things in a personal, in a positive light. Doesn't always work out, but I do my best to try to refocus and understand that my goal is to make sure that I look at this from a positive perspective.
Yeah.
So I'm doing well. Thank you.
Well, appreciate that. And as a just a ground level here, we can sort of get into some deeper questions in here in a second. But what are some of the things the average person might feel at this moment if they're either a business owner or employee and now finding themselves distressed because they've been let off or furloughed, or they're the boss and they're having to let their employees go? Is there like a 7 stages of grief style emotional processing that most people go through in these situations?
Well, yes. I mean, there's a lot of different levels that you could possibly go through. But losing a job or being an employee or being a business owner and going through that loss is definitely a high level of stress. There's no doubt about that. You can't take away the fact that there's so many different domino effects that go into this, whether it's, if you're the sole provider for your family, or if you're co-providing and then now you're only at half the income, whatever the case may be, or maybe there's no income. So definitely there's a high level of stress that goes into it. And that's not taking away from the concept when I tell you, try to make it a positive. That's not saying, hey, I get it. Real life happens. But sometimes you have to look at those perspectives and go, okay, this is happening. And it's really, it really boils down to, this is the opportunity that, do you pick yourself up and dust yourself off? And from the perspective of, you get knocked down, you get up, you kind of reload, you re-engage, you go back into what you're going to do, and you focus on that. If it was a business owner, then you look from the perspective of how can you improve that business? How the next time around, when you go ahead and start up or develop that business, how do you look into these particular measures, or how do you go ahead and do things better than what you were before? If you're an employee, this is a good opportunity that you can go from the perspective of, yes, and no doubt about it, it's easier said than done, but if you're at home and you have a computer and you have access to the internet, which I think most Americans do, there's an assortment, a cornucopia of videos out there on YouTube that you could either learn a new trade, that you could, and yes, I get it, where once things are back up and you go into, maybe you see something you may like, you can go further into that and explore into developing a new career. A lot of people, before all this happened, you go from the perspective, not everybody had this high level of job satisfaction. Well, now this is an opportunity to fix that, to make a difference. And from the negative perspective, yes, a lot of people lost their jobs. From the positive perspective, and this is where I talk about the mentality, where there's gonna be a lot of people hiring once this thing opens up again. So that's another opportunity to kind of either work on that resume or get a new set of skill sets, or look at skill sets that you want to improve on that you think that will be able to get you to that next level.
Yeah. So let's say I've just been fired. I've just fired someone. What are some tools or exercises that I might want to try or implement that will help me channel any anger or frustration I might be having as a result?
Well, sometimes it's good to just, believe it or not, sometimes when you're emotionally involved in a situation, and this is from, a lot of people that go to psychologists will think that they usually want the psychologist to tell them what they're going to do and that sort of thing. That your typical classical, lay on my couch psychologist. And usually what happens with psychologists is they never really tell you what to do. They walk you through your problems, because a lot of times when you're emotionally involved in something, whether it's a job or a relationship, you can't see yourself or anything outside that particular situation. And sometimes from the perspective that, if you lost your job, there's no matter how much getting upset and being angry and all that sort of thing is going to fix it. Those are all natural emotions. They're totally okay to happen. When something bad happens to me, it's goofy as it sounds, I give myself a grieving period. I say, tonight, I'm going to feel sorry for myself, and that's all I'm going to do tonight. But tomorrow morning, I'm done. It's over with. I'm going to pick up the pieces and start fresh and start on a path of what the solution is going to be. So from that respect, I would say that, somebody can take a step back, take a sigh of relief. You might realize how much stress you were maybe developing from that particular job. And you may realize after a week or so that going, wow, you feel so much different afterwards. And then once you do that, you might be able to go, okay, do you want the same kind of career path? Or if you go into the same kind of job again, I really need to do a better job of managing my stress. I need to do a better job of seeing where I want to be. I think a lot of people, and I'm not trying to sit there and tell you that losing a job is something simple, but what I am trying to say is that every time that we're wrapped up in our jobs, and I'm no different, all the little things that we've wanted to do in our lives are always, oh, I'm too busy, I don't have time to do this, whatever the case may be. Well, now you do.
Yeah.
If there was that other thing that you wanted to explore, now you can. If you always wanted to go back to school for whatever particular thing, I know money is tight, but now you can develop a plan. Okay, I do want to go back to school. Now I can get a job and work my way, maybe do a job that does tuition reimbursement. All these different things that you can sit back and really now explore while you have downtime. I mean, yes, like I said, give yourself that grieving period. I have a friend of mine who recently lost a job, and he was a lawyer, a very good lawyer, and he was very upset. And I told him, I go, well, how are you feeling? And he's like, you know what, I'm upset. And he goes, but you know what, I knew right before all this thing that I really needed a mental break. And I go, perfect. Give yourself a 2-week vacation, give yourself that mental break, and then go back into what you want to do afterwards in either his own firm or whatever the case may be, or a different practice. Yeah. So once again, a lot of this is, and it's easier said than done. I've been there myself. So it takes a lot of mental practice, but you really have to kind of take these lemons and turn them into lemonade and turn them into something positive. You're going to do the time no matter what. It just makes it more bearable.
Yeah. It's a quick segment, unfortunately, so we only have time for one more question. I want to transition from those who have lost their jobs to those who have been able or lucky enough to have transitioned to working at home, but might be feeling overwhelmed by their situation at home. Maybe it's just the chaos of their living room. They're used to going into a very structured office style space. What are some tips that people can maybe, again, take advantage of or implement to help them stay structured while working at home?
Yeah, and myself, I'm also working from home, so that is also something I kind of ran a little difficulty into from the aspect of, I always had the concept that, when I'm at work, that's my work. When I'm at home, that's my playtime, and I try not to mix the two. So I understand that. But now we have a new diameter or new thing that's introduced in our lives that we have to handle. So one thing that's helped me is, and once again, these things are kind of goofy, but once again, what I do sometimes, if I'm having difficulty staying focused on a particular task, I will literally get dressed up in my uniform or wear my business clothes, business tie, as if I'm going into the office, no different. So then I'm in the mode, you're in the feel, you're in that moment. And it tends to be able to help you get more into that structured mindset of now you're at work. And then when I'm done with my workout, my during the day, I take off my clothes like I normally do, and then get into whatever outfit for the gym or whatever the case may be that you're going to get into. So I think that is also helping. But I also think with technology, if you have a laptop, you have those things, you can do video conferencing. I also think keeping connected with others and keeping that mindset of being in the zone. But it does take a mindset, and it's okay that if you're having struggles and difficulties, and it's okay that if you're getting frustrated and things like that, what you have to do is recognize the frustration, understand you're getting frustrated, take a second, take 10 minutes if you need it, take a breather, and go right back at it. In time, your brain will be able to adjust, but just know that these things it's okay. If you get frustrated, like you can't focus, it's okay. Those things happen. That's natural. It's going to take an adjustment period. You're a human being like everybody else, and you're allowed to have these sort of difficulties and to train yourself to get back into that.
Yeah. Wonderful tips. We got to close out the segment now, but before we do, where can people learn more about you and your practice?
Oh, wow. I'm found on LinkedIn. You can always find me on LinkedIn at Albert G. Morello. I'm there. Also, Pete Guzzo, I know that he's a part of the production that's working with you all, and I'm sure he'll get introduced or has already been introduced on the podcast. He's another great source to get a hold of me. I also have resources that, as I mentioned, I'm more of an industrial organizational, more the business side of it. But I also do have contacts that are on the clinical side, that are the actual therapist type side. So that is also something that if somebody reaches out to Pete or reaches out to me, that they're in some serious help or need, I could try to point them in a direction that somebody could at least point them in a direction of some sort of help or whatever the case may be. It's tough times. It's difficult. It's stressful. Understand that all these emotions that people are going through are normal, natural. Everybody does it. Even me, the psychologist, I go through the same thing and have to stop myself and go, hey, goofball, you're a psychologist, focus. So it happens to all of us. It's okay.
All right. Well, we appreciate that, and we'll make sure your information's linked somewhere on our website after we finish this today. Thank you guys again for tuning in, and again, thank you to La Segunda Bakery for sponsoring this particular segment. Come back in a few minutes after this commercial break, and we'll be joined by another guest. Thanks, everybody. All right. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Tyler Martinovich, Film Commissioner for Hillsborough County. Thanks for joining us again. Right now, we are joined by writer and journalist Paul Guzzo. How's the overnight family man doing?
I'm stressed. I'm exhausted, living in chaos. But besides that, I mean, everybody's healthy, so I can't complain.
That's great. And for those that are joining, you might notice that Paul is in his car. Why are you in your car right now, Paul?
I have 4 kids, a dog and 2 cats, and we're all living in what we call self-isolation. So my house is chaos, it's loud, and we could not put in a word edgewise, in there. Typically, when I'm doing interviews for the newspaper, I'm walking the neighborhood. I take my dog for a walk and I record everything on an app on my phone. But today apparently is lawn day in my neighborhood. So my neighborhood is loud. And I'm apparently the only one in my neighborhood who cuts his own grass. I've learned since being in self-isolation.
I do not envy you any of those things right now, but we do appreciate you joining us. So let's talk a little bit about what you're covering in the news media right now? I know that you've just been moved over to the features desk, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah, I got moved over to features this week. I had been on the Metro desk for the past few years, which is you're covering a lot of breaking news, but so much of what I was doing was feature-y anyway. So when they were kind of restructuring the newsroom, they decided to move me over to features. So I'm kind of off breaking news, but I mean, with coronavirus, it kind of all hands on deck for everything. Yeah. There's no really beats anymore, just blurred lines, everyone doing everything. But the weird thing is, though, the features desk looks just like my Metro desk, my white couch in the living room.
So no furniture upgrade for you. Let's talk about just the state of the Tampa Bay area. What kind of human interest stories are you seeing pop up as a result of COVID-19?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, what kind of human interest stories have you seen come up as a result of COVID-19?
Well, I mean, it's touched everything. I mean, you know, one of the first stories I wrote on this was how it shut down the film industry temporarily.
Yeah.
I've written about daycares, how, you know, 2 months ago, we would never consider daycares to be essential. A lot of people, an essential activity, an essential business. A lot of people are wondering why daycares are open, but schools are not. Aren't daycares as germy? Couldn't it spread there? And the answer is yes. But the daycares are taking extra precaution, and they have to stay open because the essential workers, the grocery store workers, the health workers, law enforcement, they still need someone to bring their children now that there's no school.
Yeah.
It's much places like the Ronald McDonald House. They shut down the one in Tampa because visitation at Tampa General, you now cannot come and go as you please if you've got a child there. So the Ronald McDonald House gives families a place to stay while their kids are undergoing procedures here in Tampa for like cancer. So since people can't come and go at the hospital, the Ronald McDonald House in Tampa was no longer necessary. So that's temporarily suspended. I mean, it's touching everything. I mean, if you name it, it has impacted it. I mean, including my job. I mean, without events happening, without businesses opening, there are no advertisements. There's nothing to advertise. So we've cut down to 2 days a week print, just Sunday and Wednesday, because there's no one to advertise because there's nothing going on.
Yeah. And you had a really great story earlier this week from a St. Pete resident, Mo Solomon, who gave a first-person interview about how he dealt with COVID-19. I mean, he almost died in the hospital, right?
Yeah, apparently. You know, it's weird. I've never even met Mo. I think he was working for an animation company in St. Pete a few years back, and he used to message me with story ideas. Never did anything, but we became Facebook friends. And I don't think he ever popped up on my feed. And then as he was updating from the hospital, his battle with coronavirus, you know, with so many people liking and commenting, was appearing on my feed. And he was giving an in-person account as he went about how he was fighting the virus, what he was going through. It was tragically fascinating to watch and read, but, you know, luckily, well, not luckily, due to the good healthcare, he pulled through.
Yeah, and full disclosure, I've known Mo for 20 years. I was at his weddings, and it was amazing just the community response too as a result of an article. It's very expensive, obviously, to go to a hospital. And after he got out, he posted a GoFundMe and raised almost $10,000 to cover his hospital bills in a matter of hours, which was fantastic.
I noticed that. You can tell the guy's got a lot of friends. Yes. I don't know him personally, never met him. You can tell he has a lot of friends.
Yeah, but I think he's just emblematic of a million other stories like that going on with people battling this virus. What has been the overall attitude and climate of people you've been interviewing lately about COVID-19? Are they supportive of this shutdown? Are they understanding, or is there a palpable frustration?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, I was just asking, you know, what has your experience talking with people in the community been as a result of COVID-19? Are they frustrated about the closures? Are they understanding? What's the temperature of the people you're talking to?
You know, I've not talked to anybody who's doesn't understand it. Everybody I've talked to seems to understand this is necessary. Obviously, everybody is frustrated. Everybody's upset. Everybody wants to get back to normal life. I've not talked to anybody who doesn't agree with what we're going. Now, I've written stories about that. You know, I helped cover the church issue last week.
Yeah.
You know, and there are definitely some local churches who feel that they should be allowed to stay open. The governor agrees with them. but again, for the most part, business owners, everybody is scared, frustrated, but they all understand. I mean, perhaps the best example is the owner of the Blind Tiger. I interviewed him for a story about Ybor City. I ended up not using his interview in the story, but I mean, this is a guy, he was devastated while talking about all the employees he's had to temporarily send home. Yeah. But at the same time, he understands, like, hey, this is what we have to do, because it's better to do this now and get it, than have this dwindle or, linger on for another year and have, tens of thousands more people die than necessary.
Yeah. I find it almost ironic that, there's such a lack of advertising right now for newspapers for obvious reasons. Of course, people are shut down. But I think there was such a, how do I say, people were so frustrated with just covering politics daily. This almost feels refreshing as far as the news cycle goes. That's a terrible way to couch that. But it feels like people are more engaged than ever with media sources to see what's going on out there. I mean, journalists have never been more necessary or needed than a time like this.
Yeah, we have been declared essential workers. So all you haters can take that. I think people are realizing how necessary we are now. Our website, even though we're only doing 2 days a week of print, our website has never been busier. I mean, we are, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I know they're well over 1 million views a day, which we used to not hit.
Yeah.
Every story we post on the virus that's covering something essential about it, people are reading. The good news stuff that we're writing about, people are reading. You don't realize how important something is until it impacts your life. People who say, well, why do we need a newspaper? Well, they obviously didn't have children a few years ago who were going in schools that did not have air conditioning. And it wasn't until the Tampa Bay Times covered that something like that got fixed. People do not realize how important a newspaper is in terms of holding everybody accountable and getting them the important facts they need until it impacts their life. And sadly, it is taking this for people to realize it. Hopefully when this passes, and hopefully that'll be soon, people realize that we are needed. Even if we do something to impact their life that day, that week, that month, at some point, we are going to cover a story that will make their lives better.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't thank you enough for the work you do in the Tampa Bay area. Let's end this now because we're coming up with a hard break for a commercial. Before we go, though, I want to ask you, you're an accomplished writer and author. One of your books, I introduced you as the Overnight Family Man, was named the Overnight Family Man. What are some quick tips for people that might be struggling at home, having to take care of 1, 2, 4 kids right now that you and Amy have found just over the last couple of weeks?
Parental advice?
Yes.
Lots of scotch at night and lots of caffeine in the morning. I honestly, I couldn't give advice because I have no patience right now. I have not done a good job of making it through this. It's been completely overwhelming. There is no way for not to be overwhelming. I have to wake up at 5 a.m. and start my work day so I can have the bulk of my writing done by the time my kids start virtual school at 9. I'm still working throughout the day, but I can edit and proofread and make calls with chaos, but I can't write when there's screaming going on. You just got to take a deep breath, at the end of the day, and just realize that it's tough, but everybody in your house is healthy. And, that sounds cheesy, but I think everybody agrees that's what matters, right? Yeah. I mean, my kids, I want to choke them like I'm Homer Simpson and they're Bart, but I mean, at least they're not coughing, they don't have fevers, and I'm not going to have to take them to the hospital because my greatest fear is when this happens, you're absolutely and immediately separated from your family, and I don't want that to happen.
Yeah. Now, good advice. Whether you have kids or not, I think a deep breath and a glass of scotch will do anyone good at this point. Let's end it here, though, Paul. Before we let you go, where can people find more about you, and where can they go to buy your books?
If you just visit tampabay.com, you can find all my articles. If you Google me, you can find my landing page. And just let me put something out there to everyone watching or listening. Please digitally subscribe. You can go online to the Times website and get a digital subscription. You get all of our content. All of our coronavirus content is free. There is no paywall, but it costs money to put that out. So we're all basically working to give everybody a free product throughout this pandemic, but you can support us by subscribing. We also have a fund you can donate to and get a tax write-off that you can find. on our website. So please support us, because like we said, you don't realize how much you need the free press until it impacts you.
Yeah. It's a great line to end on. Paul, thanks again so much for joining us this morning. Best to you and your family. Stay healthy through this crisis. Thanks, bud.
I look forward to working on a story on a film set again.
I hope so too. All right, thanks, buddy. And for everyone joining us, please stay tuned. We'll be back after a quick commercial break. We'll see you in a second.
At Medi Weight Loss, your health and wellness is our top priority. We're now offering virtual tools to help keep you safe and on track with your weight loss goals. Focus on your health and lose weight with our individualized medical plans. Call for a free virtual assessment. Medi Weight Loss.
Welcome back, everyone. Again, my name is Tyler Martinovich, Film Commissioner for Hillsborough County, and this segment's brought to you by Medi Weight Loss. And we are lucky enough to be joined by Dr. Gretchen from Medi Weight Loss. You all might remember her from last week. Good morning, Dr. Gretchen. How are you?
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing between last week and this week?
Well, trying to stay sane. Let's start by that, because I'm just not used to being at home. So we're trying to really make the best of this, and I'm extremely proud of the company I work for. We've been there. We continue to be there for patients. We continue to be able to provide the services. A little bit different now, because we are offering the telemed for those follow-up patients. But it was important for us to just develop some type of platform where we could continue helping our patients. And extremely stressful for us at corporate, but we got it done, and I can't be prouder of the team I work with.
Yeah. Well, we certainly appreciate you joining us for this segment. So my first question is, immune health is so important at the moment, just trying to stay safe and healthy. Obviously, the risks from COVID are numerous, but just getting sick at this time could also be very dangerous for you if you had to go to a hospital or a clinician where you might be inadvertently exposed to COVID. So we want to be able to stay healthy and sane inside. What are some tips for boosting your immune health?
So like you said, the immune system right now is going to play such an important role in our lives, right? So we are exposed every day to different things and to different scenarios where it could be dangerous. So we want to identify the things that are beneficial to our immune system, so what our immune system loves, and we want to make sure we avoid those things that the immune system doesn't like. So things that immune system loves is a good diet, a diet that's high in fresh fruits and vegetables, where you're getting all those vitamins and minerals that it thrives on. It's extremely important. A diet that's high in fiber, high in a lot of those fresh fruits and vegetables. We're getting the vitamin C, the zinc, all the B complexes. Extremely important to be ingesting that type of thing. Another thing that the immune system is going to thrive on is a healthy weight. So obesity alone is a very high risk factor for a hampered immune system. So you want to make sure that you don't do those things that it doesn't like. It needs a healthy weight. Mm-hmm. It also needs exercise and sunlight. It's extremely important that somehow you figure out how to get some of that sunlight and some vitamin D in your body, because your immune system is going to need it, especially in these times. Yeah. And we want to make sure that we don't do things that it doesn't like. It does not like when you smoke. It does not like when you overeat and you eat over processed foods and foods that are very high in simple carbs and sugars. And it really does not like lack of sleep. So you need to make sure, I know a lot of us are very stressed out right now. We don't have the ability to do the same amount of physical exercise that we were used to. So at night, it really takes a toll because we're tossing and turning and not getting that restful sleep that we need.
Yeah.
So somehow we have to figure out how to do that.
Please go ahead.
And I mean, like I said, one of the most important things is just trying to avoid what it doesn't like. It doesn't like when we overdrink. And I know a lot of us have, now we're at home a little bit more and we have a lot more time on our hands and we want to have our cocktails in the evenings. It's okay, but try to not overconsume alcohol because it does pull on the immune system for sure.
Yeah, all good tips. I'm actually going to the grocery store right after this. What are some super fruits that I should be on the lookout for that I might want to pick up?
So you want to pick up all those fresh fruits and vegetables that are very high in antioxidants and in vitamin C. So all the berries are extremely beneficial. They are great superfoods. All the greens like kale, it's just so nutrient packed with things that your immune system loves. And in addition to that, you're going to want to pick up some citrus because it's really, really good, the vitamin C for the immune system. And you can do that either in oranges, tangerines, or limes and lemons. A lot of people are recommending that tea at the end of the night before bed. It's going to help you with a little bit of chamomile or a little bit of lavender. And in addition to that, do some of it with lemon or lime, and that's going to be a huge boost of vitamin C.
Yeah, great tips. I think there's some misconceptions out there as far as how COVID-19 is transmitted. Should people be worried about ingesting it through various food products?
So a lot of people ask me that, and the reality is there is no evidence that the coronavirus can be transmitted through food. A lot of people say, should I be cooking at home, or should I be even doing takeout? The reality is that the coronavirus attacks us by attacking those cells that are in our upper respiratory tract. So unless we inhale that food, it is virtually impossible to contract the virus by eating something that has it on that, right? That being said, the way we could transmit the virus with takeout is by the containers that it's in, because it's been known that the virus can live up to 72 hours in these containers. So I always recommend people that are doing takeouts, there's no problem. Make sure you pay and tip in advance. Make sure your driver leaves the food on your doorstep or somewhere at least 6 feet away. You wait until that driver leaves, and then you pick up your food, set up an area in your kitchen. Just make sure you disinfect the containers that it's in on the outside. Open that food up, put it in a separate dish from your home, and then discard all of that material. All of those bags, all of those containers, discard them. Wash your hands very good, and then just go into consuming food as usual.
Yeah. Great tips. Last week when we had you on, you mentioned the importance of probiotics and gut health, but we didn't get into the specifics as far as what food groups people should be looking at to improve their gut health. What would you recommend?
So for gut health, gut health is a very complex topic, but ways to keep very adequate gut health, because what the important part of it in our scenario right now is that gut health is extremely important for the immune system. And ways to keep your gut healthy is, again, diets that are high in fiber. And right now, we go to the cupboard, we get the Oreos, we get the cookies, we get all the different things that are not high in fiber, that are very high in gluten, and our gut does not like that. You want to stay away from that. You want to make sure you're consuming a lot of fruits and vegetables, very high in fiber foods, and making sure that even if you don't consume it through yogurt or through anything else, you at least get a healthy probiotic. It's extremely important. And lots of hydration. And I think we have a little bit more time now to drink water, so I think we're finally doing that.
Yeah, I know I've been drinking more water. You mentioned the importance of going outside and getting that great vitamin D from the sun. What are some suggestions you might have for exercising outside, both to stay safe, but also particular exercises that might be more beneficial than others?
Yeah, so it's really important that somehow we get outside. Like I said, vitamin D is vital to the immune system. So let's try to somehow be able to practice social distancing and still being able to get outside. You want to make sure you take your hand sanitizer with you. All right, you want to make sure that if you do touch any surface, you're able to sanitize your hands immediately. You want to keep that safe social distance of 6 feet. If you see somebody that you know, just wave. I think everybody understands right now that we're trying to keep that distance. Make sure that you disinfect your phone. I can't stress that enough for people. Disinfect those phones. We touch them constantly. Make sure that you're disinfecting your hands and disinfecting those phones. Just keep safe distance from other people, but do get your exercise. And the more cardio you get and the higher heart rate you get with your heart, it's better for your overall wellness. So it's extremely important. Try to get out there and exercise. Just do it in a safe way, folks.
Yeah. Great tips all around. Really appreciate that. Unfortunately, we have to close out the segment. We want to take take a moment to thank you, Dr. Gretchen, for joining us again this week. Really appreciate it. And we certainly appreciate Medi Weight Loss sponsoring this particular segment. So with that, we're going to close out the episode. My best to you and your family. I hope you stay safe and healthy in the coming weeks. And for those that are watching us online, stay tuned. We'll be back right after a short break. Thank you so much.
At Medi Weight Loss, your health and wellness is our top priority. We're now offering virtual tools to help keep you safe and on track with your weight loss goals. Focus on your health and lose weight with our individualized medical plans. Call for a free virtual assessment. Medi Weight Loss.
All right. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Tyler Martinovich, Film Commissioner for Hillsborough County, and joining us this segment is Chef Jeff Philbin from the Epicurean Hotel and the Elvage Restaurant. How you doing, Jeff?
Doing well, Tyler. Thanks so much for having me.
I thank you for taking some time today. It's Good Friday, and we have Easter coming up. A lot of people trying to figure out how to spice things up this weekend when normally they'd be visiting family or friends, and now they're stuck at home. So let's talk about a couple of things that Epicurean's doing to help with that. Let's start with some recipes you guys filmed recently.
Yeah, so we had a lot of fun this past Sunday. We had the team over there at Custom Built come out, did some streaming for us all, just to have some fun because the Epicurean has transitioned. I mean, so many businesses and restaurants particularly have had to adapt and pivot, and the Epicurean Elvage Hotel is like no other. That is now able to bring the experience that you would have had inside the restaurant and the hotel back home. So it's a gourmet market where you can be able to get some great items that are changing on a weekly basis to really spice things up and to really replicate those dishes at home. So, we had some fun making Taco Tuesday, and as a family, it's something special as every Tuesday there's new dishes that can be spicy and fun, and everybody can be able to have a part of Taco Tuesday. And you learn how to cook a salmon, a beautiful salmon dish with a nice barley salad. I mean, this is the time right now where people are thinking about, wanting to have a sense of normalcy, and the Epicurean and Elvage are still trying to deliver that just in a new way in how it's packaged.
Yeah. And for those that have never experienced the Epicurean or Elvage, you guys are in the heart of Hyde Park and really are, even though you're an amazing hotel, you really are sort of a fixture of the community. Certainly your restaurant is amazing. You have one of the best happy hours in town. I've taken advantage of it more than a few times. But you're relatively new to the Epicurean. It's only been a few months since you've come on board, correct?
That's right. I've had a great opportunity and privilege to really be with that team there, coming off of the successes of Fox TV's MasterChef, where I netted out as the 5th best home cook in America. I beat out 34,000 individuals and really was able to name drop Tampa like no other city has ever seen themselves on an international level. And so it's transitioned into a philanthropic activity that has allowed that relationship to be fostered certainly with Feeding Tampa Bay, myself and the Epicurean, the three of us have really done some great things all together inside the Signature Theater at the Epicurean Hotel, with doing some great things like Epic Chef, and certainly having the opportunity to use this as a platform to really grow my culinary world and the experiences. So the Epicurean Mainsail has always believed in me and has allowed me the opportunity to have a lot of fun in that Signature Theater, where up until COVID-19, we were sold out for 3 months straight. You couldn't be able to get a ticket for our Chef experiences. And we're looking forward to being able to revisit all of the experience that we had scheduled for Q2, and we'll continue that. Right now, all we're looking at is just pushing. We're not looking at canceling. And I think that that's a big, that Mainsail, the Epicurean, Mainsail being the parent company, has allowed. It's just saying, hey, let's just push things out and let's really adapt while we have this opportunity to do just that. And so we're having a lot of fun. And Jason and the team at the Epicurean and Elevage have done an incredible thing with being able to pivot and making this a gourmet market. So they've got great things that are happening inside, and we've got great things that are planned once COVID-19 allows us to get back into some social connection, not the social distancing that we're experiencing right now.
Yeah. I mentioned before, I absolutely love y'all's restaurant. Your menu is fantastic, but not everyone in the Tampa Bay area can take advantage of or afford a meal at Elevage. Which is why something like Feeding Tampa Bay is so important for food insecure families. They do amazing work throughout the Tampa Bay area, and we're so grateful for people like yourself, but also Mainsail and the Epicurean for partnering with them. Tell us a little more about how people are affecting Feeding Tampa Bay by eating at your restaurant or participating in things that you guys are doing.
Absolutely. I mean, this weekend, being that it's Easter and people want a sense of normalcy, we still want to be able to provide that. There are so many families right now that will be having a sense of normalcy, but there's others that will not be having that. They're scared, they're hungry, and Feeding Tampa Bay has seen a 40% increase in just the volume load of new families that are needing their services. With school being out for the time being, there's a lot of families that are going hungry. So that 40% is a huge increase. And Mainsail and the Epicurean saw that as an opportunity to say, how can we support our friends from the beginning? And we will continue to do that. So for every Easter dinner to go menu, $1 per meal will be going to support Feeding Tampa Bay. And so it's going to add up, because those that have the opportunity to have a sense of normalcy know that their purchase is going to be going to someone else that is just trying to have a sense of normalcy. So, it's people helping people. It's businesses coming together to support, one common interest, and that is, fighting COVID-19, but doing it in a way that, we can all be able to celebrate food, the community, and purpose. And I think that that's something so special. So, the Epicurean has got a great menu that you could be able to go onto their website to take a look at, and you could be able to do this per person. And prices start anywhere from $29 and up per person. So it's really inexpensive to think that what you would have been spending at a restaurant, certainly at Elevage and the Epicurean, now you're just going to be able to do it in the backyard. You're able to have a little bit of fun at home and have a sense of normalcy, and your purchase is going to be supporting Feeding Tampa Bay, which needs us more than ever in the 10 counties that they serve.
Yeah, fantastic reason not to slave over the kitchen stove and let someone else like yourself do that for you and end up helping out Feeding Tampa Bay as well. So let's turn briefly to just Tampa Bay at large. Someone who's part of the service industry. A lot of your wait staff, your bar staff has really been affected badly by COVID-19. What are some of the things you're hearing in the community? What are some of the things that other people in the service industry are doing to support each other that people should be aware of?
Right now, I think what we've seen is the past 2 weeks, restaurant groups have really seen this as the opportunity to really look at how they can be able to support others. So you're seeing that with a lot of charitable acts like Feeding Tampa Bay being a part of what Mainsail is doing it, but you're also seeing large groups being able to do catering for the front lines and being able to fuel them. So I think that that's really where you're starting to see a lot of goodwill come from this as an opportunity to show, hey, we've got values. We've got a business that we're going to, be reopening when we can. And we want you to know that we do good things, that we in our hearts are doing good things. Because right now, you're seeing the heroes really be those that are in, law enforcement and in the medical professions really rise up to take this on. And so it's a sense of normalcy for them that restaurants have really been able to really kind of come with a resounding, yes, we want to support you. Yes, we want to feed you. Yes, we just want to say thank you. So you're seeing that from a philanthropic standpoint. From a business standpoint, you've had to see restaurants really have to adapt and pivot. So restaurants that were modeled for, sit down have now transitioned into using the CDC guidelines to go above and beyond to really do takeout and for delivery options. So you're seeing that with how they've, retrofitted their parking lot to make sure that you can be able to just be in your car at all times. You never have to leave the restaurant. It's a call ahead system. They'll meet you out there. They have the tables ready to go. Your food is ready to go. So that's another big thing is how just drive-through, how pickup is being able to transition.
Yeah. And I know there's been a hashtag going around both Tampa and St. Petersburg, either tip your bartender or tip your wait staff. And I know what a lot of people have been doing have been having virtual happy hours, once or twice a week, and then essentially charging a cover charge for all your friends and family who join you. And you're taking that money you collect and then donating it to an out of work bartender or server that you might know through a Venmo or a Cash App. I think there's a lot of creative ways people have still been able to help each other.
And technology is really moving that right now because you're seeing that there's a sense of disruption that the restaurant and hospitality industry has never seen before. And those that are really kind of taking that as an opportunity to really use this to give back, to support one another, to just communicate what you can do and how to do it has really also been a huge driver for how we've been able to adapt so quickly because, things have changed. Things will continue to change. But we all still need to continue on to our lives within that same way because, you and I right now, we're communicating and you and I have a purpose for that conversation. Yeah. But we also have an opportunity where those that, would have been relying on tips aren't going to have that same conversation with their guests. And so now, we've had to use technology to be able to really kind of bring awareness to them and sense of means because, life doesn't stop. It continues to go on. It just gets a little bit harder. So if we all as a community can rally around it, use technology in the appropriate ways to communicate and to share that message and the ways in which we can engage with them, then we can also provide a sense of purpose for those that have been more impacted than others. So you're seeing that. And the last thing, too, that has really transformed the restaurant industry has been a sense of ghost kitchens. This was something that you're seeing. Farrell Alvarez has done a fantastic job with Rooster and the Till. And being able to use all of his concepts, all three of them, under one place, one house. And we're going to be able to profile him this upcoming Wednesday on my show, which is Dining In with Feeding Tampa Bay, which is on their Facebook Live. And we're going to learn a little bit more about what he's been able to do with his three concepts and using one central hub to be able to distribute 3 restaurants, as well as being able to bring his team and his staff to be the delivery. So he's able to re-employ them. And so that way, then he really didn't have to lay off as many people that others that have had the opportunity or unfortunate situation, just financially and responsibly from a business standpoint, had to do. He's been able to really take this as a chance to adapt. So, people right now are thinking what to do and how to do it. Where there's a will, there's a way, and there's certainly a need right now. Epicurean from being now a gourmet market with prepared foods to go, or ghost kitchens just to be able to keep a brand alive, all 3. So, it's about resiliency and it's about adaptation.
Yeah, what a great note to end on. And unfortunately, we do have to close out the segment. Before we go, where can people go to order a meal for this weekend or just curbside pickup going forward?
Absolutely. Epicureanhotel.com is going to be your spot for everything. You can go straight to the market, which is epicureanhotel.com/gourmet market. For more specifically about how in that menu has been changing on a regular basis to create a sense of new. But you can't go wrong with the Epicurean Hotel this weekend for your Easter plans, knowing that $1 per meal is going to be supporting Feeding Tampa Bay. So it's really important that we as a community support one another. Now more than ever, we all need each other.
Absolutely. And Chef Jeff, where can they find you on Twitter or Facebook?
You can find me across all of social media. Chef Jeff Philbin is the handles for Instagram and for Twitter. So at Chef Jeff Philbin, and then Chef Jeff Philbin is going to be your Facebook. And you can find me also chefjeffphilbin.com. And I really, really thank you so much for your time, Tyler. And to everyone watching, stay safe and wash your hands.
Thank you. And same to you and your staff, and have a happy Easter weekend. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. We'll be back after a quick break. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Rusty Wallace.
And I'm Johnny Bench.
And we're no strangers to big-time pain.
Which is why we trust Blue Emu's pain relief products.
I use it every day to keep me on the move because winning never gets old.
Blue Emu pain relief products, non-greasy, deep penetrating formula gets down deep into your muscles and joints to do its magic.
And speaking of magic,
Blue Emu, maximum pain relief, the official pain relief cream of NASCAR.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Tyler Martinovich, Film Commissioner for Hillsborough County, and joining us is accountant Kristen Junker, who's going to be answering some questions about unemployment, but also small business loans. But before we get there, Kristen, how are you doing personally during this crisis?
I am just fine. I am a self-employed person. I work from home, so this is pretty much my normal life. It is a little bit challenging to do very basic things like go to the store or do some laundry, but otherwise, life is pretty normal for me, which I guess we can't say for a lot of people right now.
No, and that's actually a good segue into our first question. There's a lot of people out there right now looking for any financial assistance they can find, and a lot of people trying to apply for unemployment. But particular to the film industry, a lot of people are 1099 contract hires and not formal W-2 employees. Can you go through the difference of what that means as far as the IRS's designation?
Yeah. Well, the first thing that's really important to note is that the IRS does have rules as to who qualifies as a 1099 contractor and who should be classified as a W-2 employee. And so both business owners and independent contractors should make themselves familiar with those rules. And if you're unsure about that, hit the IRS website, check the Department of Labor. But what I'm finding is that people will interchange the term W-2 and 1099 as if they're the same thing, and they are not. A W-2 employee is subject to certain rules. They have taxes withheld from their paychecks. Their company is paying into unemployment. A contractor does a job for hire. Typically, a contractor does that type of work for other companies. It's not specific to one particular business. But even independent contractors right now, they're simply saying, oh, I'm going to file unemployment, and because I did a job for this business, I'm going to call them my employer. So both businesses and self-employed people and employees, everybody needs to understand that a W-2 is not a 1099, and that payroll does not necessarily mean paying outside services. So it's very important for businesses and individuals to understand what the correct classification is. Now, there are programs in place from the federal unemployment filling into the state departments where self-employed individuals can file for unemployment right now. But they need to be aware that they are not filing as an employee, they are filing as a contractor. So I think that's a really important thing. Businesses need to make sure that they are paying people properly. Is this person a contractor? Is this person an employee? So that's a big deal.
And what are some of the consequences?
When we're looking at,
go ahead. I was going to say, what are some of the consequences if someone were to try to file for unemployment and claim they were a W-2 employer? Obviously, it's not going to go through if they fact check it, but what could be the detriment to the employer if all of a sudden they're saddled with an unemployment claim that is not real?
Exactly. Well, and this is already happening to where some of my business clients are getting the notices from the Department of Economic Opportunity. This person has filed an unemployment claim. And every time an unemployment claim is filed against a business, the business owner or the accounting has to get into the portal and say, this person is an employee, this person is not an employee. You cannot get unemployment necessarily if you were fired. You need to be laid off. So people are basically filing for unemployment, and they're just, I'm an employee. I did a job for this company. Yeah. And that's not necessarily the case. So business owners need to be very vigilant that the unemployment claims are for legitimate employees and not for contractors. But it's going to end up causing some headaches for business owners because they're going to have to, on a case-by-case basis, get in and approve or deny unemployment claims based on whether somebody's an employee or a contractor. Yeah, that's kind of a pain.
It is, and it could also lead to more financial trouble, especially if they don't have an internal accounting department and they're paying someone like yourself for their services. You're not free. So every time I have to call you to do these things, it's costing me money that I shouldn't be having to spend because someone has erroneously claimed I was their employer.
And it's confusing right now because federal unemployment is filtering through the state department. So people are, again, there's a lot of confusion. Employee, contractor, that's really the big thing.
So let's talk about small business loans for a second. We only have about 5 minutes left. For a small business that's looking to take advantage of some of these programs, what kind of accounting do they need to have in place to prove or apply for these loans that you're seeing?
There are basically, I like to consider myself as telling people that there are two loans. The first is the PPP business loan, and the other is the EIDL, which is the Emergency Income Disaster Loan Program. The PPP loan is primarily out there for businesses to cover W-2 payroll. Mm-hmm. And the primary purpose of that loan is to cover up to 2.5 months of W-2 payroll. So we're not counting our contractors in that PPP loan. We are only looking at W-2 employees. You should not apply for a PPP loan without a W-2 payroll because that is the primary purpose. Yeah. You can use those funds for things like mortgages and rent and utilities, very, very straight expenses. But you should not. The whole purpose of that loan is to cover W-2 payroll. Yeah. The other loan, of course, is the Emergency Disaster Loan, the EIDL. It's a very streamlined application at the SBA website. It takes less than 10 minutes to fill out. If you are approved, you will get the money in the bank within a few days. If they need other information, they will reach out to you through an email, but that's an advance of $10,000, which can basically be used for any ordinary and necessary business expenses. With either loan, what I'm advising my clients to do is to even set up a separate bank account to receive those funds, because there are some discharge options as far as being forgiven. But when you want to talk later down the line about possibly forgiving those loans, you want the accounting to be there. You want to be able to demonstrate that you use those proceeds for payroll, for rent, for mortgage, for utilities, for specified expenses. So there needs to be good accounting in place. But I'm also taking an approach, what I call throwing my hands in the air, which is where I'm telling everybody, go ahead and apply for it, even if you don't need it. Because just because you might have some money in the bank and have some work now, there will be fallout down the line. Yeah. And so I'm also advising my clients to take the money, to put it in the bank. If you need it, by all means, use it for your expenses. If you don't need it, give it back. But keep the accounting in place because there are the forgiveness options coming up in the future with those.
Yeah. Do we have a question from the audience there, Pete?
Yeah, talk about taking withdrawals from your retirement fund. Will you be penalized?
Okay. The question from the audience is, if you are in a position where you can withdraw money from your retirement fund to put towards your business, what are any penalties might be associated with that?
Well, right now, the 10% penalty on an early withdrawal from a qualified retirement account is waived. The income tax is still in place. So if you do take an early distribution from a retirement account to cover the cost of business or to cover personal expenses as a result of the COVID, that 10% extra penalty is waived. But there is still a taxation on that, and that taxation on that withdrawal typically falls into your personal income tax bracket. So you don't want to take the money out and say, don't withhold any taxes, because you're still going to have to pay tax on that, but you're not going to have to pay that extra 10% penalty. And if you have elderly relatives who have to take a required minimum distribution from their retirement accounts, they do not have to do that right now if they don't need to. So that can help them save some money down the line. Some retirees have to take that minimum withdrawal because they're over age 70 and a half, and then they have to pay taxes on that. If they don't need to take those withdrawals right now, they're not obligated to do that. So that's kind of good for some of our elderly people who might not want to take money and pay money on it.
Yeah.
Now, another good thing that's going to happen is that you can deduct up to $300 of charitable contributions in addition to your standard deduction if you can't usually itemize. A lot of people think that you can deduct all your charitable contributions and take your standard deduction, and that's not the case. You have to itemize. But this year, you might get to add $300 to your standard deduction if you made some qualified donations, and that's a nice thing too.
And what kind of reporting are they going to look at that? So if you're not looking at an itemized deduction, I mean, what are they going to, if you were to be audited, what kind of things would people be looking for?
An itemized deduction is kind of the bunching together of your deductible medical expenses, your property taxes, your sales taxes, your mortgage interest, your PMIs, charitable contributions, cash and non-cash. You always need a donor receipt for a charitable contribution. And those contributions need to be made to qualified organizations. They can't be made to private individuals or to certain types of donor funds. You know, you need to put it into a 501c3. And if you're not sure that you're donating to a worthy charity, IRS does have a list. So if you want to make a contribution and you want to make it deductible, go to the irs.gov website and check to see that that is a charity that you can deduct.
Perfect. And final question as we wrap up the segment here. Tax day has been pushed off until midsummer, is that correct?
It is supposed to be next Wednesday. I was really looking forward to my end of the season holiday, but no, there is an automatic extension in place until July 15th.
Got it.
So you do not need to file an extension to get the extension. Tax day is automatically July 15th. If you do at that time still need an extension, you would need to file. But remember, an extension is an extension to file. It's not an extension to pay. So if July 15th comes and you owe money, don't file the extension because you owe money. File your taxes and set up an installment plan.
Great advice all around. Thank you so much for joining us for this segment. Have a happy Easter or Seder, whatever it is you might celebrate this weekend. And for those that are watching online, stick around. We have a quick segment coming up after this. Appreciate it, everybody. Thanks.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Stronger together in the warm air and Gulf breezes, by the sparkling water as the sun slowly sets, where pirates shout ahoy and treasure awaits, where gentle manatees swim past timeless minarets, with adventures to discover in historic districts, with diversity and charm, in our community by the bay, to make memories beyond measure when you return, because we are all stronger together, where hope always shines in the hip, urban heart of Florida's Gulf Coast beats. We will be ready for you in Tampa Bay, Florida's most resilient destination.
At Medi Weight Loss, your health and wellness is our top priority. We're now offering virtual tools to help keep you safe and on track with your weight loss goals. Focus on your health and lose weight with our individualized medical plans. Call for a free virtual assessment. Medi Weight Loss.
Welcome back, everybody. Again, my name is Tyler Martin Olich, Film Commissioner for Hillsborough County, and joining us this particular segment is Copeland Moore from La Segunda Bakery. Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing great, and I think most people in the Bay Area are familiar with La Segunda. You're one of the oldest family-owned businesses in the Bay Area, but give us a little bit of flavor. Talk about La Segunda for a second.
Well, yeah, we're a bakery. My great-grandfather started in 1915. I guess we're best known for Cuban bread, but we have a lot of different treats that represent the culture of Ybor City. All these different immigrants that came and kind of created a melting pot here. So we tried to, we represented ourselves as an Ybor City bakery.
Yeah, though you're coming from us from your relatively new location on Kennedy Boulevard, correct?
That's right. Yeah, we're here on Kennedy.
Yeah. So COVID-19 has been going on for, what, 4 weeks now? I think the stay-at-home order has been around for 2 weeks. What have you guys done to adapt to the current climate?
Well, the most important thing for us was safety, starting with our employees and then, going on to our customers. So, we're trying to do our best to follow CDC guidelines. We're, trying to get a hold of masks. It's difficult right now. Obviously, don't want to, disrupt the supply chain for health workers, but our employees are considered essential workers too, so we want to keep them safe. But we here at Kennedy, we had a walk-up window, luckily, so we kind of shifted the business model, closed the doors so people there's no one coming inside, and then establish 6-foot barriers on the outside so people stay keep safe from each other and keep our employees safe.
Yeah. And it's not just your restaurants. Your bread is known throughout the Bay Area, and you supply bread to a lot of the restaurants in town too, correct?
Yes, that's correct. In town and nationwide. But I mean, our national business is pretty much on hold right now. A lot of our business is food service providers, so Cisco, Gordon Foods, U.S. Foods, and they're all sitting on inventory, so not reordering. But the local restaurants that get the fresh bread are still ordering some. Sales down a little bit, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah. And as one of the oldest businesses in Tampa Bay, have you or your family ever gone through something like this? I mean, I guess you could think of like 9/11 or the Great Recession, but I can't remember anything as disruptive as what we're going through right now.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously my great-grandfather went through the Great Depression. Survived that. I never talked to him, so I don't really know how that all went down. But my father went through 9/11. I actually took over the business in 2008, 2009. So when that market crashed, but nothing has been disruptive in either my or his lifetime. As much as this. And we've always thought that bread business was recession-proof for the most part. But this is, very eye-opening, I think, for us and a lot of people, obviously.
No, I think everyone's always seen La Segunda as the neighborhood bakery in Ybor City and just a fixture of the community. And I think people do take comfort in the fact that you all are still open. Where can people go to put in an order for curbside pickup?
Well, the best place we recommend is online on LaSegundaBakery.com. And actually, if you use code COMMUNITY, it's 25% off. Online orders allow us to put your order outside so you can pick up, so it's contactless. So it's the safest way for the employees and the customer to get their orders. And you can save some money. We're trying to incentivize people to use that avenue to keep everyone safe here in the community. So LaSegundaBakery.com, that you just choose which location, Ybor or Kennedy, and then pick it up right there. It should be ready for you.
Yeah. Now, are you guys doing normal business hours, or have you changed?
Everything's been the same. We're trying to keep as much normalcy as possible. So we're open from 6:30 to 3. We're trying to talk to our employees the best we can and let them, try to instill some optimism. We've been around for a long time. We feel that we will be around for another 100 years at least. I think people in Tampa we're gonna come out of this eventually. So we're just trying to stay positive and don't change. We don't want to change too much. We want to stay in the flow as much as possible. Obviously, make adjustments, but I don't want our employees to panic or change too much of their behavior.
Yeah. As an essential business, both yourself but also your employees having to interact with the public, has that been scary? Just processing mentally what that means, and you're interacting with people throughout the day that might have this. You have to stay open, or you can stay open. Has that been a process?
Yeah, it has, and it is very scary. It is something that we talk about a lot, and for our business, we talk the most important thing in our business is communication internally. So we make everyone aware of the new laws. A lot of laws are changing very rapidly. The Family First Coronavirus Leave Act. So if their doctor has a note, they can take leave and it's paid 80 hours. If a family member is sick or they're under quarantine, they can take leave that's paid that the government is helping businesses with. So, we also communicate about, everyone washing hands, staying 6 feet apart, wearing masks when we have them. My mom actually, one of her friends came across a bunch of bandanas. So my mom has been putting those together with rubber bands, trying to get as many as we can out to the employees. Just little things like that to stay safe because, it is dangerous. We're aware of that. But we do feel like we're important for the community, providing bread, as a food manufacturer so that people can stay fed during this time.
No, extremely important. But I think it's also just important mentally for the normalcy of people to still be able to get the things they would normally get. Most people are trapped at home, but if they can get a warm, thing of Cuban bread, that means a lot to a family who might be just going through hell right now. You don't know what they're going through, trapped inside of their homes. What are some things you'd like to talk to or say to the community for people that are coming to pick up the food at your locations? What things that you've seen and what things you'd like them to do or practice when they're picking up food from your store to make sure your employees are staying healthy?
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to say thank you, obviously, to the community. We've had so much support, friends calling, social media, people posting about us open, keeping things moving. It's so important that our staff can stay employed and we can keep going and providing these things. And I feel very fortunate about, Tampa and this community, and especially Ybor City. It's been there so long and, it's gone through so many different things, but that community is just so supportive to La Segunda. So it's really appreciative. But then, after that, I would just say, just if you could, respect, everyone's safety as best as possible when you're picking up orders, our staff and other customers, just follow the CDC guidelines, the 6-foot rules. Wear a mask, I guess, if you have them, and just respect people's personal space. I think that's a good rule, even outside of a pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for me and everyone else that's in the studio right now, we certainly thank you and all the essential workers that are putting in the time and the effort during this pandemic to stay open, so that we have some normalcy in our lives by being able to depend on you all. Where can people go to find out more about your business, but also to order online?
Yeah, I would say LaSegundaBakery.com is the number one place we hope people to go. Like I said, you can order there and use code community when you check out. Get 25% off your order. Makes it much easier to pick up. Makes things safer for you and our staff. And you can play around on the website if you got time. I know a lot of people got time right now to learn about our history.
Yeah.
Dating back to 1915.
All right, fantastic. Copeland, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And for everyone that's tuning in, stay tuned. We've got another segment coming up after the break. Thanks.
We are stronger together in the warm air and Gulf breezes, by the sparkling water as the sun slowly sets, where pirates shout ahoy and treasure awaits, where gentle manatees swim past timeless minarets with adventures to discover, in historic districts with diversity and charm. In our community by the bay, to make memories beyond measure when you return, because we are all stronger together. Where hope always shines in the hip, urban heart of Florida's Gulf Coast beats. We will be ready for you in Tampa Bay, Florida's most resilient destination.
At Medi Weight Loss, your health and wellness is our top priority. We're now offering virtual tools to help keep you safe and on track with your weight loss goals. Focus on your health and lose weight with our individualized medical plans. Call for a free virtual assessment. Medi Weight Loss.
Welcome back, everyone. Once again, my name is Tyler Martin-Olich, Film Commissioner for Hillsborough County, and this segment, which will be our last segment for the day, we are joined by Laura Hayden, comedian and therapist. Good morning, Laura. How are you?
Good morning.
And our friend Glenn Hoskin is back, creative director. How are you doing, Glenn?
Good. How are you, sir?
I am too bad today, actually. It's nice and breezy out. I'll take that. It's been rather hot and humid here in Tampa Bay. Lauren, let's start with you. I've been asking all of our guests before we get into it, just how are you doing during this this crisis?
Well, actually, I'm surprisingly optimistic for a person with no job or income. I don't think I'm ever going to have time to work again.
Well, I mean, that might be a bad thing, especially if you were looking to retire. If you weren't, that might be a problem.
I'm calling this my early retirement.
Knock on wood, I wish I could say the same thing, but I got to work through this.
I wish I could too.
Glenn, how are you doing, buddy? It's been a couple weeks since we've been on.
Yeah, doing well. I mean, this, again, hasn't really affected me in terms of work because being a freelancer, all of my work is virtual. Everything is remote. Working from home is nothing normal. I do miss getting out to a coffee shop. That's always been my second office. So everything I've had to do, actually, I'm doing from home. But I've gotten a lot of work in the past couple of weeks. Yeah,
that's great. Laura, let's start with you as far as questions go here. People need to laugh right now. I know being trapped at home, I am stressed. I feel it in my shoulders. My head's going to explode by the end of most days. I'm drinking more than I probably should be. What should people be doing to lighten their day? I mean, should they be going for walks, tuning in to Netflix comedy specials? I mean, what are you doing?
Yes, and all of that. The problem with all of this is if you're a natural extrovert, being quarantined, I call it the hibernation because I think that sounds nicer, is not how you recharge. So people that are introverts are actually like, well, I'm kind of okay. This is my comfort zone. But it is making people stir crazy. Walks are great. Any kind of comedy always helps everything. And everybody on the internet now thinks they're an internet star. There is no shortage of live feeds from everyone, everywhere. And some of them are quite hilarious. You can find lots of online entertainment. I actually did it. I've done like 5 virtual shows this week. So there's a lot of comedy out there being done virtually. Anything that'll get you through. Laughter makes every part of your body feel better, emotionally, mentally, physically. And when things are stressful, and you need to stretch too, that'll help with your shoulders. And the whole world is drinking too much, just so you know. Drinking has gone up 74% since we've all been in
which
hibernation.
Makes me want to have stock in the liquor industry right now. Glenn, let's turn to you for a second here, bud. You know, when we kicked this off 4 weeks ago, you were one of our first guests. What have you seen from clients or people being creative? Has there been a metamorphosis, or people still sticking to the same empathetic messaging?
I think everybody's in a different situation depending on the agency. So I have 3 agency clients currently. One of them I know has laid off a few people. Another one, they've been holding steady because they're in a pretty good financial situation. But they're worried that if this continues on through the summer, things might change and they might have to start laying off staff. But the work has been pretty steady. Some of the agencies I've worked with, they're focusing on internal projects. How do they prepare themselves for once this is, all over with, and they're hoping that this will be over with sooner than later. Others are still servicing their clients, and they're doing it pretty well remotely. Some clients are talking about messaging in these uncertain times. We're in this together, and others are just sort of business as usual. So it really depends on the agency and the clients that they have.
Yeah. Laura, let's ask you a question here. This is a personal opinion I'd like you to respond to. After 9/11, I think the big question, especially in late night and comedians, was, are we far enough removed from the tragedy or the immediacy of the moment to tell a joke about it? I don't feel like this is necessarily the same situation we're in, but I haven't seen a lot of comedians talking or joking about the situation. It almost feels sacrosanct. Do you agree with that?
Oh, I've heard lots of comics joking about all
I know
this.
Norm Macdonald had quite a good set the other day, but it just doesn't seem to be as prevalent.
There's tons of comics laughing about this and joking about this. It's the only way to really, like, making fun of something doesn't make it less serious. Neither does seriousness change because you've made fun of it. But yes, there's lots of comics making lots of fun of this. And it is very serious, and a lot of people have passed away, and a lot of people are still gonna get this, and it's horrific. But no, there's tons of comics, and I think it's a little easier because 9/11 was so, I don't know, it was heartbreaking. It's the first time the United States was ever attacked on our own soil, so I think it was really like, we're not safe. And now I don't know, it seems different. It's still horrific, but it's different. But there's plenty of comedy. I can direct you to lots of people making fun of all of this, and there's hundreds and hundreds of hilarious memes about all of this. And I think that's all good. People have to vent some way.
Yeah, my meme game has been pretty strong the last couple of days. It's my little corner of the internet I find enjoyable. We'll get back to some questions about recommendations for comics that people can tune into here in a second. But Glenn, let's go back to you. I've seen an uptick in people looking to start filming in June. It looks like just from what the CDC and locals are saying, we might be coming out of this the next month, maybe less. What should companies be doing right now to gear up for opening their doors again? I mean, what should they be doing as far as pre-production?
Right. Well, they have to see if the people who they normally work with are still around, right? Or if they're ready. I know Hollywood is, still gearing up for, production once people are able to get back together and work together again. I have a client right now who there's a project where an A-list TV star is involved. And so I spent the last week writing commercial scripts with this actor in mind. And I'm thinking, wouldn't it be great to be in LA on set with this actor producing these commercials, but we don't know when that would happen.
Yeah.
Right. So right now it's like, okay, well, we have these if the world were normal again. So what can we do now if this actor were to do things from his house? What can we have him do with his phone? So I think everybody's chomping at the bit to do it. We just all need to know when we'll get the green light to get back to all those greenlit projects. But there's going to be a flood of content ready for production once we're able to actually get in a room together and start producing things.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point about reaching out to crews to see who may or may not be available. I know there's a lot of people that have taken themselves offline just because they couldn't make ends meet. They've transitioned to another career, whatever they could find. And then there's other people that are going to be in super high demand the immediate moment this opens back up for everyone to go out and film. You need to be reaching out to your crew right now, just on a personal level to see how they're doing, I would think, but also to get in queue for their services.
Yeah, especially in that kind of world, any kind of production, because a lot of those people who are on a crew, they go from job to job. So right now the jobs aren't there, but the people are still there. So they're just waiting for people to call them up and go, we've got a job, right? We're back to work. Let's get going. They're not going anywhere. They're looking for work. They're ready for work. So I think it'll be fairly easy for line producers to find those people that they're looking for once those jobs are available again.
Yeah. Laura, speaking of crew members out in the workforce, whether they're film and digital media related or not, they're still having to go home, or maybe they're trapped at home with just that overlooming fear of not being able to make ends meet. There's not a whole lot of reason to laugh right now. So where are some places they can turn to find some comedy or some levity in their life? You mentioned some comics that you have been following. Who would you recommend right now?
Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank runs virtual shows every night of the week, and you can obviously tune into them anywhere in the world, which they have had, and they're running headliner shows, people that write for Conan and the Tonight Show and stuff, the big names actually doing the shows on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I did a show with Hal Sparks 2 days ago, and he was fabulous and wonderful. I'm pretty sure you know who he is. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of comedy clubs are actually trying to do that too. Type in any comic you like, and I can assure any comic you like, I can assure you they have some sort of live feed going on right now with silly things that they're doing online. It's not hard to find. Type in a comic you like, and they will direct you directly to some sort of comedy online. There's a lot of Tiger King jokes out there too. They're renaming the virus. Kristen Key, I did a show with her last night. She's fabulous. She wrote a Tiger King song that I'm still laughing about. But anyhow, just type in a comic you like. You will find plenty, and you'll go down a rabbit hole of funny. I'm sure of it.
Which, speaking of Tiger King, Big Cat Rescue, of course, is located in Tampa, and Tiger King has been
Yes.
the gift that keeps on giving as far as my office goes. I can't tell you how many phone calls I've fielded. Or how many series that are spinning out of control as a result of this. Netflix has announced Kristen Wiig helmed production of Discovery ID, which you would never think to do a Tiger King show, is now doing a Tiger King show. And Netflix somehow cut together an additional episode, which they're releasing tonight. So if you are a Tiger King fan, there is a brand new episode when you log in to Netflix this weekend or tonight. I forget when they're releasing it. Gift that keeps on giving.
Comics need to perform. We don't do well without performing. So the only way we can perform is like this. And trust me, they're doing crazy things in their living rooms and in their bedrooms and in their backyards because they have to get it out there somewhere.
Yeah.
But I highly recommend you find Kristen Key's Tiger King song. You will laugh.
All right. I will look that up as soon as we get out of here because I need a good laugh today. Glenn, let's just keep it light right now. I mean, it's supposed to be a holiday weekend, even though it doesn't really feel like one.
Is it? Oh, yeah.
It is a holiday weekend, believe it or not.
Passover and Easter.
Yeah, right. I would have been at Passover Seder last night had I not been a terrible Jew, but I am. So it's
a matter of perspective.
It is a matter of perspective and a matter of guilt. So instead I tune in to TV and watch some trash. What have you been watching? What has been keeping you entertained through this?
Just the normal stuff. We watched Will and Grace last night. That always makes us laugh. We haven't really been binging a lot. We just, I've been busy working. My wife's been working. We haven't all been in the same room. We've been introducing our daughter to as many classic films as humanly possible. She's 18, so we've been introducing her to a lot of stuff that we grew up with, from National Lampoon's Vacation we watched last weekend, and I always find it funny. She thought it was terrible, but like in a funny way because it's just so wrong in so many ways. We watched Terms of Endearment. We watched Steel Magnolias. We're going to watch Fargo this weekend. So just trying to give her a little more culture than the stuff that she normally watches. And my wife and I just keep thinking like, oh, what else? Like Night Shift. We're starting to think about directors and writers like Lowell Gans and Babalu Mandel, like all of their films. Now we're talking about the Coen brothers and just going down, all of Tom Hanks stuff, Michael McKean stuff. We watched Spinal Tap
Yeah. Well, you might
week,
have to win
know.
Parent of the Year just for exposing your kids to Spinal Tap. So I congratulate
I'm like,
you
how
on
old
that.
is your daughter that you put her on?
She's 18. So,
okay,
ever since she was like a tween, we've been introducing her to the stuff that we grew up with. So she would binge Laverne and Shirley, Good Times. We had her watching Mork and Mindy. Like, she would just find all this stuff online and, just watch it for days and days and days. So
I envisioned a
MASH.
small girl watching Fargo.
Yeah, no. 18, we're like, okay, yeah, 18, she can handle Fargo.
Yeah, I had the same idea in my head. I was like, that's not something you show a 5-year-old.
Yeah. She's heavily into Wes Anderson now, right? Like, she loves Wes Anderson. She could watch I Love Dogs over and over and over again. Grand Budapest, absolutely loved. So that's what we've been doing. We've been educating her through the stuff that we love.
All right. Laura, we got to wrap up the segment here. So let's assume everyone in the planet's seen Tiger King. What would be your recommendation to tune in and watch?
I don't. It's terrible since I produce things and I have a one-woman show I'm working on that I did for Edinburgh that I'm trying to put together because they make a great rom-com. But I don't really watch a lot of TV. I didn't grow up with a TV, so I'm all about books. It's horrible, but I've been trying to get through The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, but the characters are fabulous, but it's so unrealistic about what comedy it really is. I start choking on it. I did watch The Tiger King because everybody said to do that. Apparently The Ozarks is amazing. I don't know. And I tried to watch Dirty John, but I couldn't handle it. It's so evil.
Some good recommendations there, and Marvelous Miss Maisel.
I'm with him. Watch the classic movies. Now I'm in my head. I'm going, ooh, I'm gonna go back to the black and whites. I'm gonna start with anything by Claudia Colbert. That's where I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I've been looking at obscure stuff. Criterion has a streaming service, so anything I can get my hands on, I've been consuming. With that, unfortunately, we have to close it out. So thank you guys both. But for those looking for a laugh, once we close out the live segment, we'll be rolling some of Laura's comedy. So stay tuned for that. And for our sponsors, we appreciate everyone tuning in today and helping us put this on. This has been our 4th week in a row. We'll be doing it a 5th week. We'll see where we're at after that. But definitely tune in next Friday, same time, same web address. We'll be pushing this out on our social media. And for everyone at home, have a great, healthy, and happy holiday weekend. And for my guests, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Frank.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Stay safe.
How you doing, swingers? Always a few. How fabulous is this? An all-female comedy show. Yes. Yes. You may not know this, but it is way harder to be a female comedian than male comedian because I have to come up here and make all you fine people laugh and suck my stomach in the entire time. You saw me right there. I sucked it in, didn't I? I did. Because Spanx can only do so much. I might even do a few Kegels at the same time. You're doing some right now, aren't you? Good for you. Never too early to start bladder control. That's what I'm thinking. And those confused, I will explain. A Kegel or Kegel, depending on where you come from in the country, is a push-up for the whole hoo-ha area. If you're still confused, ask your grandma. But I do have to tell you, as a woman in my late 20s, that's not nice. I got carded this week. I did. It was for my AARP card, but I got carded. They asked your ID. It still counts. I wrote it on my calendar. As a woman in my late 20s. So late, I've just blown right through my 30s. I've noticed a few things have changed when I was in my 20s, where I suspect you're at. You're so adorable. When I was in my 20s, I used to use the F word. No big deal. F this, F that. F, 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 F. Because it's a good word. Now I can barely tolerate hearing that word and saying it makes me nauseous. I'll try to say it. It's a good word. I'll be like,
is such an incredible opportunity. On a weekly basis, the Epicurean has been able to turn this entire incredible, beloved hotel experience into a market for the people here in Tampa. Right now, we need to rally around small businesses, and we need to rally around good businesses that have been able to adapt and pivot, because there is a need for us to be a part of that, and you can be able to have these winner, and we want to make sure that you get to enjoy it at home, because this is such an incredible opportunity. On a weekly basis, the Epicurean has been able to turn this entire incredible, beloved hotel experience into a market for the people here in Tampa. Right now, we need to rally around small businesses, and we need to rally around good businesses that have been able to adapt and pivot, because there is a need for us to be a part of that, and you can be able to have these incredible dishes that the team here at the Epicurean have prepared on a weekly basis. They're rotating. So if you are not following them already on social media, you want to do that. Get a part of their email distribution list, and you can start your journey, be able to replicate these dishes by going to the epicureanhotel.com/gourmet market. All these recipes, all of this information is changing on a weekly basis, and so we can have a lot of fun. So I'm Chef Jeff Philbin. Joining me tonight is Chef Jason Bamford. Jason, it's good to see you back here doing another dish. Dude, that baba ganoush was absolutely killer, and I hope that you at home get to try that and really get to enjoy it. What are we doing now?
Okay, so now we're going to cook another dish using ingredients that you can buy at our market. So what we have here is we have a marinated chicken breast that's marinated with some herbs, lemon, and garlic. We have our grain salad, and we have some roasted acorn squash.
I absolutely love this. Now, for me at home, it was really hard to find chicken at the local grocery store. So you're selling chicken for the public.
Yes, correct. One thing that we've noticed is a lot of the grocery stores can't keep up with the demand, right? Because of the supply chain for those grocery stores. But us as restaurant and in hotels, we saw our business drop drastically, right? But our vendors still have supplies that they can get us. So as soon as we noticed that, we started offering things that you couldn't get in the store to the local community, and it's really caught on.
I love it. So at home, you can be able to get this chicken. Now, does it come marinated? Does it become unmarinated?
So we have chicken breast that you can buy either plain. We also have the lemon herb chicken breast. We also have a shawarma marinated chicken breast. So we marinate in our shawarma spice, and then you can grill that and make a wrap. You can add a dish, make it a dish. Like a shawarma panzanella. You can do all kinds of things with it.
So you got 3 different varieties of chicken that you can be able to get here at the Epicurean.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Folks, if you have not already thought about this as your go-to spot right now to be able to enjoy great products, then this should be in your consideration set. So what are we doing right now with this pan?
So this pan I just started to warm. Put a little bit of olive oil in it to make sure the chicken breast doesn't stick. So we're going to bring that up to temperature. And now that that's warm, take our chicken breast, add a little bit of salt and pepper.
Okay. And what did the marinade start with, though?
The marinade started with extra virgin olive oil, garlic, parsley, a little oregano, and some lemon.
Love it.
All right, got that side. Gonna flip it over. A little more.
And we're just using just regular table salt. We're using
kosher salt.
Just a nice little bit of kosher salt.
Correct.
Okay.
So now the pan's warm. We'll take it, and just like we did with the salmon, you're gonna want to lay it away from you. That way the oil doesn't spatter.
Now, at home, could they throw this onto the grill?
They absolutely could throw it on the grill or bake it in the oven, however you prefer.
Absolutely. So there's no real rhyme or reason for how we're doing this right now. We just want to have some fun.
Yeah, we're just having some fun, showing people what they can do, some options, right?
Absolutely. So tonight, it's a little bit rainy here in Tampa Bay, so you might be not going outside with the grill, but you can do this inside the house. You can do this with a frying pan. You want to do this the next time on a grill, you certainly can. Or, to your point, you could actually throw this right into the oven.
Correct.
And do a nice roasted chicken.
Correct. So we're going to actually use the oven right now, right? So we have the oven on 375. We start the chicken breast off, right? Starting to get a little brown. So we can go ahead and we'll add some of the slices of the Put a little oil down so it doesn't stick. Add some of the winter squash.
I love winter squash, and there's so much you can do with some winter squash because there's a little bit more time on folks' hands right now. You know,
Correct.
what are some other items that they could be able to use this winter squash for if they wanted to use this at home?
You could make a nice soup with it. Makes a really delicious soup. You could make a puree. You could make a hash with it. You could do all kinds of things.
So it sounds like these could be a lot of family-friendly items as well, that you could be able to bring everybody in to make the soup, to be able to make a nice spread, to be able to make a nice little bit of a hash for it. So families can get involved with this as well.
Exactly. And you know,
that.
now that everybody has time, it's good to hang out in the kitchen. That's where all of us end up anyway.
I wish that you could. I mean, right now, this was our playground to have so much fun here at the Signature Theater, here at the Epicurean Hotel. And right now, events are being postponed. If you are one of those that have the opportunity to push your event out, let's do that. Because right now, that's what a lot of people are doing. We're not going to have to live like this forever. It's just a little bit of a pause for how we were all enjoying life that we once knew it to be just a few weeks ago. We don't know when it's going to end, but what we can be able to do is to say, hey, I'm just going to postpone my event. We're just going to push it out. And we're going to be able to do that because, Chef Jason, you and I, we had so many cool events that were going to be planned. I mean, you let me play around in this kitchen all the time, and we get to do the Chef Jeff experiences. They've been working out so well. We can't wait for you all to come back to enjoy these experiences because there's a lot of love that went into these.
Absolutely, all the time. We have a great time.
And so I think that when you guys have the opportunity, make sure that you are now signed up for everything with the communication that's going across social media for the Epicurean Elevage Hotel. And then you can be a part of that fan base so we can be able to give you all the information for what we're doing on a regular basis via email. So you can be able to do that, learn so much more about some of these incredible dishes and how they're being rotated in by going to the EpicureanHotel.com to be able to be a part of everything. And for the market, /gourmet market.
All right, Chef. Now, once we have that sear on the one side, we're going to flip over the pan.
Okay.
And we're just going to finish it in the oven, right?
Now, did you put any other ingredients into the pan before it goes into the oven? Any more oil or anything?
I just used the oil that was there
Okay.
and the seasonings that we already had marinated the chicken with.
Okay, perfect. So we have the oven at 375.
At 375. So right now we have the chicken in the oven finishing up. We have the acorn squash that's coming up in the pan. So now we'll take this pan that we had warming up in the back. We put a little bit of olive oil in it, extra virgin. And then we have our grain salad here, right?
Now, the grain salad. Now, if I was to be able to order this from you, how are they coming? How is it prepared? Are we doing it in sizes?
We're selling them by, our salads are being sold by the pint and by the quart.
I love it. All right. So what is a pint go for?
So we have $10 quarts. And,
Okay.
So if they wanted a pint, it would be half that cost.
Okay, so for $5, if you're thinking about just doing something for date night at the house, you can be able to do it. If you want to have a little bit more, you pay $10, and now you have some leftovers, and you've got incredible dishes here. So walk me through what's inside this grain salad.
So here we have a mix of grains, some heirloom red rice, some whole grain brown rice, black barley, a little farro. In that, we cook that, and then we have some asparagus, some zucchini, a little wilted kale, and some heirloom cherry tomato. And we also have a little bit of walnut pesto that we use to dress the salad with, right?
Now, so you're telling me you put all of that love into it, and for $10,
you can get a quart.
Because that would cost you so much at home if you were doing that yourself, and you could be able to support a small business like you guys to be able to continue to be able to do great dishes. And not only that, but you've got this whole give back part of it too, because one of our charities that we're both near and dear to our hearts is Feeding Tampa Bay.
Correct.
And with every purchase, you're giving back to Feeding Tampa Bay.
Yes, we are.
So what's going on with that?
So for every purchase we give $1 to Feeding Tampa Bay.
And right now they need our help more than ever. They need our help. They are seeing an increase in some areas of 40% that has changed from before COVID-19 to now where we're at. The 10 counties that Feeding Tampa Bay serves is a testament to how we as a community need to make sure that food comes into it. There's so many right now that are watching that I know in your heart you can be able to give. I know in your heart you have the means to be able to support a great group like this because we're all in this together. But there's some that might not be able to enjoy a dish like this. And with the funds that can be coming from supporting Epicurean, you in turn are going to be supporting Feeding Tampa Bay. So your purchase can go a long way, and you can be doing good things with it. And that's what we all want to be able to do, because now more than ever, it matters that we can make sure that no one goes hungry. You at home don't want to go hungry. You at home have the opportunity and the privilege to cook some great dishes that Chef Jason and his team have been able to prepare at this gourmet market, but there's some that might not be able to have that. And so I ask in your heart to also consider that. If you want to learn more about Feeding Tampa Bay, please do so. FeedingTampaBay.org is their website, as well as all the social channels, Feeding Tampa Bay, across all the major ones. So you can learn more, and you can also be able to be a part of being and giving back. So I didn't want to take that much away from it, but I'm telling you what, the smells here are just as incredible as they were in that first dish that you had. So, you know, what else do we have in here that's giving some of those nice toasted notes?
So that's a lot of that's the walnut pesto, and the herbs that are in the walnut pesto and the Banyuls vinegar that's heating up in there.
Absolutely love it.
So we're going to take this, put a little bit of the salad, the warm salad, down on the plate. This is another salad that, you know, was made to eat cold, but we're just showing you that you can heat it up and then it becomes a side dish for a hot meal, right? So you can use it a few different ways.
And you know what's really cool? If you did do it cold, you can use this for a nice item outside. This makes for a beautiful way to just to enjoy the backyard. Because I know I've been playing out there with my little guy, Holden, a lot more often. And so for us, this is really fun for us to be able to have something nice and cold. We can mix it up, have it warm. We get a little bit of versatility in this dish. And I think that that's a really great thing with any type of cooking that you've had. Wow.
So here we have the chicken breasts. We have the squash, right? So we can take the chicken breasts.
You really made it simple for the folks at home to be able to enjoy the Epicurean. And all you're doing is just boxing up and saying, here it is. You can do these dishes at home.
At home in a matter of minutes, as you see. Like I'm literally taking raw chicken breast, the salad, the squash that we have, and preparing this right in front of you guys.
You've done all the heavy lifting.
That's right. Yeah. Take a couple pieces of this acorn squash.
Oh, absolutely incredible. Look at that. That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. If you were to put this out there, how much would something like this go for right now?
I mean, this is probably, you know, in a restaurant, this would be a $25 dish.
And you at home can be able to do this, and you can be able to learn more about how this menu is changing, how these items are changing on a weekly basis by going to the EpicureanHotel.com/gourmet market to learn so much more about some of these ingredients and to learn more. If you've replicated this dish at home, we want to see pictures of it. We want to see those comments below. If you've got the opportunity to have already had these ingredients at home right now, have some fun with it. Have these ingredients at home right now, have some fun with it. You can cook it just for only a few minutes, but if you are going to do it at a future date, make sure to tag the Epicurean Hotel, Elevage, and of course, Chef Philbin in all of your fun, and we'll be right back.